We established in the last RS4 video. We established in the last RS4 video that there was a few issues with this car. And this dickhead makes noise when you don't want him to. Without going through every single one of them again, if you missed that video, I'll put it just up there. Go and check it out. Considering this car has now done over 172,000 miles, it isn't doing bad. But we're going to start with the issues at the front of the car and work our way back. Bit of a brief overview. There is screen wash light, service light, brake pad light, number plate light, and in addition to that, the economy light won't go off on the air conditioning, and the engine management light come back on, but you will know why that came on in the first place if you watched the previous video. And today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. First things first is the fog light. Now I'm thinking it's just a bit of a loose connection here. This might be the first car ever that I know a little bit more about than you. Ash.
Quite possibly, yeah.
That looked a bit easy.
Well, it was definitely a loose connection.
Okay, let's have a look, see if we fixed the issue. Front left fog light.
Are you fucking stupid?
Well, hang on a minute. I'm sure it said front right fog light.
Fuck's sake.
But now it's saying front left fog light. Hard work, this. Right, the bulb fault is the number plate light now. To the back, fog light's fixed, number plate light's next. Have you got them out? Are the bulbs working?
How am I meant to if the bulbs are working?
Surely you can see if the filament's connected, no? You're not that old. Your eyes...
Yeah, my eyes are shagged. Yeah, it's still connected.
Are they both not working?
No.
So is that a yes? Or is only one?
Are they both not working? No.
So one of them is working?
No.
So they're both broken?
Yeah.
Yes. Right, so that's where I think it's the wiring harness in the boot lid. Thankfully, today's sponsor Squarespace is more than simple enough to use even for Ash, bless him. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, there's no better online platform to help you run your business. Nervous about building and maintaining your own website? Then look no further as I quickly build something to help Ash in his bold dilemma. There are thousands of different website templates to choose from if you don't want to start your own from scratch, with everything being completely customizable in seconds. And once you're happy with the end product, Squarespace Analytics is perfect for keeping an eye on your incoming traffic, sales and overall performance with easy to use tools and graphs. You can even see what your website will look like on a mobile device too. So what are you waiting for? Head to the link in the description box below and use code EVILGT for your money off. I think it's unusual that both bulbs have gone at exactly the same time. And the filament, if you look, I don't know if you'll be able to see that on camera, but the filament's definitely connected still. There's no split in it. It's not like black inside where it's popped or whatever. So I reckon it's the wiring harness in the boot lid, which is a common fault on these. Now, for those who may have missed the previous video where I explained the faults on this car, I did say that the guys are awesome, did us a temporary fix for this, and obviously it worked for well over a year, but it looks like it's gone again. Further down in the loom, we have actually found a snap wire. This is a little bit confusing because the cable that was snapped that we've reattached, there's definitely 12 volts coming down that cable. We've reattached it, tested where the bulb fits for the number plate light, and it still doesn't work. And there's no 12 volts coming from the connectors where the bulb goes either. We took the boot trim off. We've got to the connector that obviously runs to the plinth just there where the number plate light is. And we've tested the volts coming to the grey wire here, and there is no voltage at all. So the problem is definitely further back. We did find a break further down, which was obviously the one that I showed you before. It has been repaired further up, and we have just realised, now looking further up, that previous repair has failed too. So we're just going to quickly twist these together to get them connected, just to see if that does actually solve our problem. We've got it working. There's a lot to be said for having cars that you're familiar with, you know, because it saves so much messing about and troubleshooting. What we're going to do is bodge this back together, and Ash's mate Col, who's a proper wirer guy, he'll do it properly.
Not that he knows yet.
This is the reason why our Padwar light is on. Now, the annoying thing with this particular car, as I'm sure it's the same with many others, is that the Padwar sensor actually comes built into the material on new pads. But the aftermarket pads on this one don't have any, so you have to utilise the Padwar sensor from the previous set of pads, which is what was done here, but now it's snapped. I'm not entirely sure whether this is going to work, but what we plan to do is wrap some cable around the two pins just inside the plug and then shove the plug on in the hope that connects them up and we're good. Not entirely sure how well that's picking up, but that's the idea anyway. These two pins, these two connections need to touch. As soon as that's broken, that's when the Padwar light comes on. So fingers crossed this works. No beeping, just screen wash. Yes, and obviously the engine management light, but we know what that is. Our little brake pad wear sensor light, we bodged it. Now the only things that are left is the exhaust and the screen wash. Now the screen wash sounds like a simple fix, but we think there might be a leak somewhere because this seems to be going through it a lot.
It says okay.
Yeah, that means everything's sorted.
Fucking hell, first time I've seen that.
Look at the smile on his face, buzzing.
Well, it's still got an engine light though.
For the first time in a long time, we have no faults at the top of the display.
Don't need any money to fix an RS4.
No money required to fix an RS4. We have literally, we have spent money on the multimeter. £8.46 on the multimeters for the new batteries. But that's technically not on the RS4. Now the only thing left is to straighten up this exhaust, and it's these brackets here that have, well, I think they've snapped. I think that these bits here should be connected, so that looks like it should be a part of that. So I reckon we need to replace these. Yeah, so these brackets have definitely failed, so we're just gonna tighten them as far as we can. It's not really right, but we're going to order some new ones anyway. So far it's looking like we're only going to need 2 exhaust clamps. We're just going to switch the wheels over because there's more tread on the rear tyres than there is on the front, so we're going to try and even the wear out a little bit. But when the time does actually come, these 4S's have been fantastic, absolutely brilliant tyre. But I've got to be honest, for the price point, slightly cheaper are the Continental Sport Contact 7s, and they are unbelievable in both the wet and the dry. So I think we're going to try a set of them on these next. One other little niggle was this rear parking sensor. It's been pushed in at some point, whether or not that was like that when we had it or what, but obviously they should all fit flush, so I brought my glamorous assistant along. Perfect. That is all that needed because the parking sensors still did work perfectly. The other little problem that we have is that no matter what, this will not go off. Now after a little bit of digging, it looks like it's a pressure sensor of some description, and that sensor lives behind the front bumper, so it looks like that's going to have to come off to get to it. Meanwhile, Ash is just checking the levels. It needed a bit of oil topping up. Any coolant? We good with the coolant? Coolant's fine. The only other issue that we do have is that this secondary air pump thing keeps coming back, so we're going to get that coded out. And for those who watched the previous video, you'll know that this has an oil leak, but that is definitely a job for another day. I'm hoping that this high pressure sensor will fix the air conditioning fault. We're missing the casing around the seatbelt buckle on the driver's side, and the vent passenger side is cracked too, so we can replace that. But I believe in order to replace this, the front bumper needs to come off.
I can't fucking take it off on my own, you daft.
And I can't put that in the video either, you daft. Now, weirdly, this sensor looks completely different to the RS4. We've just took that off. In order to get to this, we need to take the crash bar off, because then this bit needs to come off to then get to this. You love bags, don't you, Ash? So we've just established that it might not be that sensor at all. There's no gas in it. We have just found out that this is the superseded part to this. This definitely is correct, but now we obviously realise it needs regassing.
And it works.
And that's the broken vent replaced. Now I'm hoping this just needs a regas. Now
Ben said get off your arse.
Nay. Now I'm hoping this just needs a regas because we've changed the sensor, the light's still on. Fingers crossed, this is all it needs. Now let's hope it was a combination of the fact there was no gas in it and it needed that pressure sensor that we got from Wigan Bag Parts. Aircon, recharge, regas, whatever it was, is done. Let's see if we fixed it. And the economy light is not on, which would tell us we've got air conditioning. Just another fault fixed. The windscreen washer jets is back, and we've only actually used that once, so I have no idea what's going on there. I think there's a leak somewhere, but we couldn't see anything obvious when we were underneath it, so that's going to need a bit more investigation, because there's absolutely no way we're going through that much washer fluid. Now that the RS4 is pretty much faultless, I'm going to take it for a spin. I've seen a deal at Halfords I quite like the look of, and it's some packs of garage floor tile type things, rubber mats, that look really good and cheap, so I'm going to give them a go. One thing you absolutely cannot fault this car for is the way it drives. It's just absolutely brilliant. To think that it's done nearly 172,500 miles, it's brilliant. Now obviously a lot of the money that we've spent on it goes to show for that, I think, but do you know what, this last little bit, this last video, the majority of it was just little sort of niggles, and I think that cars like this, unless you keep on top of them little niggles that don't actually cost any, if much, money, it makes a huge difference in the long run, so that you're not spending fortunes on leaving issues alone and things just get worse. And one of the things that amazes me the most about this car is that you can pretty much drive at any speed over, say, 10-15 mile an hour up to 150 mile an hour in sixth. It doesn't start, you know, sort of juddering and asking you to change down a gear. So I don't know how or why. You guys in the comments will probably know. It's weird how it just seems to be all right at any speed in sixth. That V8 at 8,500 revs, I don't think there's many noises that sound as good as that. You've got the 5-pot, you've got a V10, V12, yeah, sound great. The deep grumble at 8,500 that then is no longer a deep grumble, it's like a high-pitched wail. It sounds so good, this car. It's absolutely mint. I know that it does need the oil leak sorting out. There could be one oil leak, there could be multiple. That needs sorting. The thing with that is I want to pull the engine out of this car, but that means it's going to be off the road for quite a little bit, and at the minute I am daily driving this car. That obviously causes a bit of a problem. The engine will be coming out of this at some point in the not too distant future to sort that oil leak out. It isn't a bad one. Obviously I'm driving it around, I'm not topping the oil up every 5 minutes, it's fine. So I'm just going to put up with it and see how we get on for a month or two, and maybe pull the engine out of it then, because obviously I need Ash's help to do that. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. I've enjoyed particularly this end bit, driving around in the RS4 a bit like a lunatic, but thank you very much to everybody who does watch the videos. If you have enjoyed it, please hit that like button. It makes a huge difference to the videos and the channel and its reach and all that kind of stuff. So if you've enjoyed it, hit the like. If you subscribed, make sure you've hit the bell icon so that you get notification when we put a new video on. And yeah, thank you to everyone again for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next video.